Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. I am going on my 17th year as a chiropractor, and prior to that, I was a critical care nurse working in the neuro ICU. Currently, I wear many hats, including wife, mother, sister, daughter, business owner, and friend. But this podcast really isn't about me, although I share a lot of personal stories when I'm chatting with my guests. This podcast is about the conversations that I've had with the amazing people along my life's journey. Some of these people have been my patients, and some of them are people who I've crossed paths with for many other reasons. You will hear stories of tragedy, trauma, and triumph, of ordinary people overcoming obstacles. You'll hear stories of perseverance and peace, of fear, faith, and failure. And you'll hear some simple yet profound human exchanges. Every conversation unfolds in a unique way, and I know you'll glean some benefit as the listener. I have been blessed with the gift of walking alongside people on their health journeys and their journeys through this life. I've been blessed with people trusting me not only with their bodies, but with their stories and their souls. It is an honor to be trusted with the most deep and vulnerable pieces of these people. I have also been just as much a student of life in this relationships, learning from my sometimes older and always wiser friends. With as much negative as we see in the world, it is my sincerest intention to bring some good back in. Conversations with a Chiropractor is a little bit of history, a little bit of healing, and a whole lot of heart. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy these Conversations with a Chiropractor. I am so excited for you to hear this interview. Bertha is my oldest patient at 98 and a half. She is almost 100. Can you imagine the changes that she has seen in her life? Sit back and listen to the stories about her wedding day, about writing letters in World War II. Think about all of the struggles that she went through, and yet she never complains. Bertha is truly an inspiration. If you would like to follow me on social media, you can find me at Dr. Stephanie Wautier on Instagram, Wautier Wellness Chiropractic on Facebook. If you have loved what you've heard, please rate and review this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Well, I'm Bertha Nix, and I live in Chatham.
Bertha, thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
So you were born in November of 1925. That makes you 98 years old.
That's right.
You're going to be 100 soon. You've lived through so many changes in this world.
Yes, I have.
You know, I want to start at the very beginning at your birth. So I was reading, and they say in the United States that between 20 and 30% of all births were in the hospital, and the rest were at home, like back in the 20s.
Yes, that's right.
So were you born at home?
I was born at home, but I was the only one that had a doctor attending the birth.
Of all your siblings?
Yes.
Okay. In what order, like what number are you in the birth order?
Number 8.
Number 8. Are you the baby?
No.
No.
There's 3 after me.
So 11 kids total your parents had.
12 altogether with the boy.
Okay.
So 11 girls.
11 girls and 1 boy. Where was he in the lineup?
Well, he was the one before me.
Okay.
And that's why my oldest sister had a doctor come to the house, because my grandmother delivered all of us.
She
all
did.
But me.
Wow. Wow. That in and of itself is pretty spectacular. And was it a farm that you grew up on?
Yes.
Okay. So very probably like this rural doctor comes to deliver you. That was probably a really big deal.
Well, yes, it was.
So was this doctor that delivered you like your family doctor? Like, would they come to the house often?
No.
No.
The only time that we had a doctor come to the house is when my dad had pneumonia.
Oh.
And So the doctor came to the house to see him and treat him, and with us kids, well, we thought it's odd because he said that we have to have the window open in the bedroom that he's sleeping in. And well, it was winter time. we
couldn't understand why, right?
Why we had to have the window open, but it was for the fresh air. I think they thought would be of, some either comfort to him, or I don't know what the reason was, but.
And maybe even so that, like, whatever germs were in the air, you all didn't, breathe them in too. If they thought that it was like an airborne illness. So let's talk a little bit about life on the farm. So you're one of 12 kids. You split up the chores evenly, I assume?
Well, like I said, my dad was a carpenter. So that was the way that he helped to, well, we helped on the farm to supplement his income, because he could only work in the summertime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it like a dairy farm or?
Yes.
Okay, dairy farm. I know how intense that is. Every single morning, milking the cows. Because my dad grew up on a dairy farm, kind of up the road from you.
Yeah, I know that.
Now, where did your parents come from? What country did they come here from?
They came from Finland.
Both of your parents?
Yeah. In the early 1900s. I think my first sister was born in 1907.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the United States? Okay. Did they meet in Finland or did they meet?
No. They didn't know each other in Finland.
No.
They came through Ellis Island, and that was a kind of an iffy thing to do too, because some people were turned back.
They were.
And there was my my uncle's sister came, with the family. And they sent her back because she had cataracts.
No kidding. Wow. So they were doing like physicals and physical assessments on people. And that doesn't seem like a very big deal, right? Just because you have cataracts.
So when she went back to Finland, well, she never decided to come back to America again. She stayed there.
Wow. How traumatic for her.
Yeah.
Now, what is your maiden name?
Kampinen.
Okay. What was your mother's maiden name?
Lintilä.
Okay. Some classic Finnish names.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk more about your childhood, but tell me a little bit about what you guys would do for entertainment. So I know that the farming life is very hard and very difficult. And you went to school, I presume?
Yes.
And at that time, was it expected that all girls would go to school, or was that unusual?
Well, for myself, I was waiting to go to school.
You were?
And I insisted I'm going to go to school when I was still 4 years old.
Really? Did they let you go when you were 4? They did. Because you insisted.
And, well, I don't imagine I was in school every day, but I was in kindergarten only 1 year, so they passed me on to first grade.
It's interesting you had all those older sisters that you were probably trying to keep up with.
Yeah.
Trying to do what they were doing. And did they all go to school? Did all your sisters go to school?
They all went to school, but they didn't all go to high school.
They didn't.
There was a law passed that children should be in school until they're 16.
Okay.
And so my sister Elaine, she was the one older than me. So she was the first one that came under that law.
Oh.
That she had to, go to school. So then the rest of us followed suit. So we all graduated from high school.
Wow. Your older sisters, were they sort of expected to find a husband right away, to get married right away, or were they expected to find a job?
Well, they weren't ever told that they have to leave the house. They could, live there as long as they did find something to do. But the closest place was Marquette, so I think one of my older sisters, and the oldest sister, in fact, let's see. My oldest sister worked in Munising. There was a doctor there by the name of Dr. Brazier. And so she worked for them as a housekeeper and a cook.
Oh.
And then later she got a job at the Chatham Telephone Company as a telephone operator.
Wow.
And she worked there until she got married.
She did.
And then I never remember my second oldest sister being at home because she went to Marquette to work, and she got married soon after they stayed in Marquette, they didn't travel back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So her oldest child was just a year younger than me.
It's similar in my dad's family. I have an uncle, so my dad was the second out of 10, and I have an uncle who's the youngest, who's only 2 years older than me. So, yeah, I think it's very kind of common in those big farm families when there's so much, age between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're home, and you're not forced to leave the house at 18, which is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
What kinds of things would you do after school after all the chores were done?
Well, we made our own fun,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's just games, and wintertime we played outside till it was dark, and
No radio, no television.
well, we got a radio. One of my sister's husbands brought us a secondhand radio. And I would say I was about, maybe 10 years old when he brought the radio.
Okay.
And I always liked country music.
Oh.
So I used to listen to WLS in Chicago. And there was a program that I liked to listen to. It came on at 10 o'clock.
At night?
Well, that's the time when they turn their, what is that called?
Like a signal? Or...
Yeah, the signal down. So it was nothing but static.
That's disappointing.
So I even made the comment one time to my other sisters that I think I'm going to write them a letter and tell them that I enjoy listening to your static at 10 o'clock.
Do you still like country music?
I still do.
You still do?
Yes.
Now, was dancing a big thing when you were growing up in your younger adult years? Like dance halls?
No, not with our family. It was a no-no.
It was a no-no.
Yeah.
Was that because of like your specific religion?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is what?
Lutheran.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there are so many different like forms of Lutheran. Is this more specific to the Finnish community? Like, or?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bertha, the last time you and I were talking, you talked about the fact that your dad actually passed away when you were 15 years old.
Yes.
And remind me what kind of a condition he had.
Well, it started off with a little round patch about the size of a quarter on his back, and it was real itchy. And then it kept spreading. And he went to all kinds of doctors, in the area, Ishpeming and Marquette, and no one could do anything with it. So finally, this doctor in Ishpeming told him that he should go to Ann Arbor. So they brought him down to Ann Arbor, and there was one doctor there who recognized the disease, and it was called a mycosis fungoides. And that rash covered most of his body.
Wow.
And it was a type of skin cancer that comes from like mold or just dust.
Like something that would be in the dirt.
In the dirt, yeah.
And did you say that he was exposed to that specific like dirt or mold or fungus? Because what was he doing?
Well, he was working in the woods where the men were cutting logs, and they had horses there, and it was his job to every time they ran out of or did a wood lot, well, then they'd move to another one, and then he'd have to take the stables down and then rebuild them again on the next plot.
And that was like with all the horse manure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what he got it from.
And by the time they found out what it was, there wasn't anything that could be done.
There wasn't a cure for it then, but there is now. I've heard from different sources.
That must have been horribly traumatic for your family and for your mom to have to then be like responsible for everybody. And
well, he was only 55 years old when he passed away.
Wow, so sad. Was your mom pretty stoic in her grieving?
Oh, she was the best mother you ever had.
Really?
I think everyone says that of their mother, but she was a very pleasant and calm mother, even though she had so many children.
You have to be calm when you have that many children, right? You have to try to keep the chaos down.
Yeah.
Did she ever remarry?
No.
And how many more years did she live?
She lived to be 77. So, and my dad. Well, anyhow, after my dad died, we didn't have any extra money to go to Ann Arbor, so she went to the headquarters in Munising to see if she can get some help, for his treatment. So they allowed her, so he went there, as a county patient. But then after he died, he had just built a new barn on our farm. It was only about 2 years old. And so my mother filled up the barn with cows, and she paid off that Ann Arbor bill.
She did.
With the girls milking cows.
Wow. So you all came together because, I don't even know the answer to this, but it wasn't like there was health insurance
No.
that was paying for all these medical bills. No. You were just paying from your own money, from your own wage, from whatever you had.
Yeah. And there were a lot of people, that were getting aid from the county at the time, and this was in 1940. And then we used to go to Munising once a month and pay on that bill. And I remember one time when my sister Elaine and I went to Munising to pay on the bill, and there was a whole string of people waiting, to get in to get some aid.
Okay.
And these people at the desk, they saw us standing in line, so they told us to come down, ahead of all the other people, because they knew we were bringing money, not getting money.
They're like, you come right up. You bring us that money, right?
But she did get that hospital bill paid off.
Wow.
And he was there for 6 weeks.
Oh, my goodness. So he passed away in the Ann Arbor hospital?
Yes, he did.
Your mom sounds like very industrious, very hardworking and persevering, and a lot of honor and integrity to pay that bill off. I mean, some people may have just been like, well,
yeah.
It happened. And would you sell the milk to local grocery stores? And
no, there was a truck came around and it was brought to a creamery in Centenarian.
Oh.
And then where it went from there, I don't know.
So we're gonna come back to this. So you're 15 years old when your dad passes, and then you go to school through your 18th birthday to have your high school diploma?
I wasn't quite 18. I was 17 when I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you started early.
Yeah.
Right? You started when you were 4.
That's right.
So when did you and your husband meet?
Well, he was a neighbor of mine all my life. He lived only a mile down the road from us, but we were never in contact, never had anything to do together,
Mm-hmm. Did you see each other at school at all?
Well, he was 2 grades ahead of me.
Okay.
So I never even knew him in school. And, well, I knew of him, but,
yes.
I wasn't that familiar with him or anything. But then he started high school. But his best friend from, Slapneck, where they lived, well, he decided to quit school in 9th grade. So I asked him once, now, why did you quit school? He said, well, because Len did.
He followed his friend.
But then he did go to Detroit, and he worked in the defense plants until he was drafted.
He did?
And
so he was working when he was like 15, 16?
Mm-hmm. He was in the CC camps. And
okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the CC camps are.
Civil Conservation Service.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that like before you're old enough to be in the military?
Well, it was a program that the government started because of the Depression that they had just gone through. And
so he didn't go to school until he was 16, like the law stated he should. Or was that a law then? It's okay if you don't remember. I'm asking hard questions.
I don't remember.
But basically, he's in 9th grade. He drops out of school. He goes to Detroit, starts working.
Yeah, so he must have been 18 already.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he gets drafted or he joins the military?
He was drafted.
He was drafted. Okay. What branch of military was he in?
He was in the Army.
Okay. Where did he go?
Well, where his boot camp was, I don't remember, but he was sent to Germany. Yeah.
Did he ever talk about his time there?
That's one thing about World War II veterans. They don't like to talk about what they did or what they saw. He never talked about the war.
My grandpa either. My grandpa was a medic in World War II. Never talked about it. Yeah, he does take credit for me becoming a nurse. I said, Grandpa, you never even talked about being a medic. You can't take any credit for me becoming a nurse first. It's the family joke. So he comes home from 4 years in the army?
Well, I wrote to him. You know, they used to have these when the boys were drafted. Well, they'd have a going away thing for them, you know, to give them a little extra cash in their pocket, you know, when they leave. And so then he started writing to me.
Aww.
And we wrote to each other all the while he was in the service.
Wow.
But, well, that's another thing we did. We wrote to a lot of the boys that went. And
so you wrote to more than one boy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of boys in Slapneck that I wrote to, and well, they enjoyed getting letters, and
I'm sure,
just to keep them up on what's going on back home, you know.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
How long between the letters? Like, how long would that take?
Well, I really don't know. And they wrote their letters, and then for some reason, they were put on little thing bigger than a postcard. You know, that they could write one page and...
Oh. They were given like a specific amount of paper or like a specific size of paper to write on.
No, it was a bigger piece of paper, but then it was made to fit, you know, little... It wasn't any bigger than this.
Okay. Like a smaller envelope.
Yeah.
So during those letter writings, would you say that you kind of fell in love?
No.
No.
Never.
No. It was just completely friendship and just like a neighbor being in touch with a neighbor.
Yeah. And then he played a guitar.
Oh.
And I was always interested, you know, in playing a guitar. So my uncle, one of my uncles, he bought me a guitar. He paid all of $10 for it in Escanaba.
Which would have been a lot of money.
Yeah. And then I told in one of my letters, I said that I have a guitar, but I don't have any idea of how to play it. So he sent me pictures of chords in his letters.
Like he drew them.
Yeah, he drew
the
them.
chords. Wow.
And that's how I learned to play the guitar.
Oh my goodness. That's pretty amazing. So he comes home and then he courts you? Am I going too fast?
No, I did have a boyfriend in high school. And I wrote to him too. And, you know, that's the one that was a little bit more, you know, on the lovey side.
Okay.
But we were, you know, kids in high school when we started going together, so people change.
Yes.
And so then...
what was his name? You can say it. You don't have to say it.
Well, anyhow, before he went in the service, well, he had asked me if I'd, want a ring. And I said, no. I said that let's wait until this war is over and then we'll talk about it. So he came home first.
Oh.
And I took his ring.
You did?
Yeah. And then when these other boys came home, well, we thought we were all going to get back, all of us together again,
Yeah.
And so we were going to Munising to bowl one night. So at that time, his family didn't even have a telephone in the house.
Wow.
So I sent him a note in the mail that we're going to Munising and if he'd, pick me up and we'll join the group. And he never came to pick me up. And the next thing I knew, I had a letter to return the ring.
You're kidding. What in the world do you think happened?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what happened because he never came back to talk to me about it.
Wow. Did he stay in the community?
Yes.
So you had to see him after that?
Yeah.
And he never said anything?
No.
Wow.
But he married a nice girl, so he had a good life.
Did he marry someone very shortly after that?
Well, let's see. We were married in April, and they were married in December of the same year.
Okay. So you ended up getting married before him?
Yeah.
So was your husband at that bowling event?
Yes, he was one in the group.
So you started to kind of see each other socially when he was back from the service?
Yeah, well, it was after that breakup that we actually, got together the first time.
Okay.
Big date. We went to my sister's house.
For a meal? Did she feed you?
To listen to music. She had a new phonograph and lots of records.
Wow. So how long did you date or court each other before you got married?
All of 60 days.
60 days.
And we were married 52 and a half years.
Wow. So it didn't take long for you to know he was the one.
Must have been.
So tell me a little bit about your wedding day.
Well, that was supposed to be a surprise, a party for us. And Harold didn't have a car, so my mother didn't speak any English.
Oh.
And she understood it, but she spoke very little bit. So he told me to teach him how to, in Finnish, how to ask my mother permission to use her car to go and get married.
That's a big ask.
So he did it, and she gave us the car. Then when we got back, well, then there was a reception for us.
Was it at the church?
No, it was at my home. His mother had our wedding dinner at her house.
Okay.
When we got back, and then we went to the reception at my house.
So this all happened on the same day?
Yeah.
The wedding dinner at your in-laws, and then More of the
Everything,
reception. What did you wear for your wedding?
Just a street dress.
I hear there's some sort of a story about your nylons on your wedding day. What happened there?
Well, nylons were almost impossible to find. And I was working as a secretary at the school at the time. And there was a teacher there that said, well, she has an extra pair that she'll give me. And so I was so happy to have nylons. And then it was an old tradition in Finnish weddings that during the reception, well, someone would lift you up on their shoulders and walk around the house with you. Well, I'll be darned if my Uncle Charlie didn't do that. He came and picked me up and walked me around the house. And
were you like on his shoulders?
Yeah. And then when he let me down, well, my nylons got stuck on his belt buckle and they ripped.
Oh, no.
So that was the end of the nylons.
And nylons were like gold, it sounds
They were.
like. I think about how easy it is in our, world today to get whatever we want, right? We can go on Amazon or we can go to a million stores. And I think it's just such a nice thing to remember how precious things are, like nylons. Yeah. Hopefully your friend didn't expect you to give them back.
No, she didn't.
So you were a secretary at the school when you got married.
Yes.
And what did your husband do?
What did he do? He was looking for odd jobs, all around, and there wasn't much to do. Started working in the woods with his brother at first, and then there was the Co-op gas station in Chatham. So there was an opening there, so he applied and he got that job. So that was his first job, and then he had a stint at the mines, and no, that was after. Let's see now. He drove a gas truck, a tanker.
Oh,
yeah, picked up gas from the Rapid River.
Oh,
and for Richmond Oil Company.
And here's a thing too. So this is now. Would this be like the 1940s now? Give or take. What year did you get married?
We got married in 46.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I know nothing about this, but so here we are bringing gasoline in tankers. And now, is it underground? You think about that? How all of our products are moved and things coming underground. And
yeah.
It's interesting. Where did you live? You and your husband?
Wherever there was a house for it.
So you rented, you moved out on your own?
Yeah.
I know I wondered sometimes if you'd live with your, mom or dad or his mom or dad or...
I forgot that in between there we spent a year and a half in Detroit because he worked for Burroughs before he was drafted. And these companies in Detroit, they offered the men their jobs when they got back. So...
and it was probably pretty good money.
Well, it was good money at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we moved down there, and Burroughs did hire him back. But then the first layoff, well, the newest people that were hired were laid off. So he said, were going back to the UP. So we were there only a year and a half.
Was Detroit super busy at the time? I mean, that was probably very different than the little town of Chatham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was busier than what I was used to.
Yeah. So you were happy to come home to the UP?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How long after you got married did you have your first baby?
Well, let's see. We were married in April and Wayne was born in February.
And how many children altogether did you guys have?
We had 4, 3 boys and a girl, and I've already lost 2 of my sons. Both of them to cancer.
Wow. So sad to have to bury your kids.
Yeah. So I had the oldest and youngest left.
And on Easter Sunday, you're all going out to dinner, right?
We are.
So how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 10 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren and 4 great-great-grandchildren.
Wow. That's a legacy. You're the matriarch. Do they all live in the UP?
Yeah, most of them do, yeah.
I'm jumping subjects here, but we talked a little bit about the fact that you sang your whole life. So you sang and played the guitar. So you
tried to.
You were musical.
I always loved music.
And you mentioned, was it 1992 that you had a surgery?
Yes.
That affected your vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
What surgery was that?
I had 3 bypasses, heart bypasses. Yeah. And whatever they do during an operation, they put those tubes down your throat, and I didn't realize that what it did to my voice at the time. And so, like I say, it changed the sound of my voice down a few octaves. So a lot of times on the phone, people think they're talking to a man.
So your voice was very different before that.
It was different.
Probably like trauma to the vocal cords.
I think so.
Do you still sing?
I can't.
You can't.
I always sang harmony with my sister Elaine, and we enjoyed doing that. We were bed partners, and when we got to bed, well, we'd start singing.
I bet it was beautiful. So, bed partners, does that mean that you shared a bed?
Oh, yeah. You had to share a bed.
Now, were your blankets mostly like quilts that were
homemade quilts?
Homemade quilts.
Yeah.
Knitting, crocheting did you all do any of that?
Well, most of us knew how to crochet, and I didn't crochet as much as I knit. So that was a pastime.
Yeah. Now, are any of your siblings still alive?
They're all gone but me.
Wow. You're the lone wolf.
I am.
And it's interesting. So it's 2024. So you had 3 vessel bypass in your heart 30 years ago. And look at how healthy you are. I mean, really, you jump up on that adjusting table and, you're in amazing shape. What do you eat? What's a typical day like?
Well, I don't know. I don't have anything specific. It's just...
You drink coffee?
Not too much.
No.
3 or 4 cups a day, There's other people drink a lot more than that, but...
Do you drink your coffee black or do you put creamer in it?
Black.
That's why you're still alive. Good strong coffee.
Yeah.
Being Finnish, do you still eat any traditional Finnish food?
Well, I don't know. It was usually meat and potatoes, Living on the farm, well, you always had milk and meat and potatoes, so.
Would you say that that's still what you eat, what you tend to eat?
Right now, I don't like to cook at all.
Me neither. So really nothing special. It's not like you don't, like you're like, oh, I will never eat this or I'll never eat that or.
No, I don't really have any
special tricks?
Any special foods that I can say that I hate. I'll eat most anything.
You're in great shape, you're physically fit, you exercise every day?
No.
No? Do you like to go for walks when the weather's good?
Well, I used to walk, but now that's limited. Yeah.
What other kinds of things are you enjoying these days? What do you enjoy doing?
Well, after I retired from work, I started making loomed rugs.
You did?
Yeah, I still have my looms in the basement, and
wow,
I'm teaching one of my granddaughters the craft. And she's doing pretty good.
I love to hear that. Like, I love to hear that these crafts are being, taught, transmitted. Like, my grandmother taught me how to crochet, and that's wonderful. Now, those looms, is this something like in the Finnish tradition?
Yes.
Okay.
They're homemade looms.
Homemade looms. Did your mom or dad teach you how to do that? Or did you just learn this like through the Finnish community?
Well, I think I was always interested in it. But I always thought to myself that they made them good enough, but they didn't have good patterns to them. Whatever rags they got, well, they just pounded them into the carpet. But I am a little bit more fussy about colors.
More of an artist. So you said something rags. Would these be classified as like the rag rug?
Yeah.
Like a rag rug. Neat. So how cool that your granddaughter's learning that.
And then for a wedding present from my mother, she gave me some rugs that she had made, and they're different. They're they really have a pattern to them, and she even used yarn in them with the other rags. Well, they weren't rags. They dyed different pieces of, like sheets and stuff. Well, they dyed them and then cut them so that it was like a tan background, and then there was wool yarns woven in them.
It sounds beautiful.
And those rugs are now 74 years old, and I still have them. You
do.
And they show a little wear, but...
Do you walk on them, or do you hang them on the wall?
No, they were in our bedroom floors, weren't they, Wayne? Every time, as long as I lived there, well, they were on the floors in the upstairs bedrooms.
They've stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Made to last. So, Bertha, tell me a little bit more about, like, what I might not know about you. I never knew you liked country music, and that you're a singer and a guitarist, and you're an artist. What else would you like for me or anybody to know about you?
Well, I think that's my life story.
You're a woman of faith. You're a Lutheran woman. You believe in God, and that sounds like it's a big part of your life.
Yes, it is. And now since we lost our church, to this collapse, whatever it is, well, I get my sermons on the telephone every Sunday morning.
No kidding.
There's 8 different churches from around the country that have hooked up to it. And so I can pick and choose which church I want to listen to.
Right on the telephone?
On the telephone.
Wow. Now that's like a landline, a traditional landline.
Yeah.
Do you have a cell phone?
No.
No. Do you enjoy television? Like, do you enjoy certain things on TV?
I'm picky about what I watch on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch anything that's, lots of banging around and...
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I don't like violence.
Violence, that's it.
Yeah, I only want to watch good, happy things.
Yeah.
Like the Hallmark Channel.
I watch the game channel a lot and HGTV.
Oh, yes, I love that too.
And just simple, calm things like that.
Yes. So, is there anything left on your bucket list? Is there anything that you say, I really want to do this, or I really want to go here?
Not anymore.
No?
No.
You're content.
I'm content at home, and
you've done it all.
Like I say, I'm home 5 days a week, and then on Sunday morning, Wayne and Pam take me out to breakfast. Wayne said I have to get out of the house at least once a week.
Sounds good to me. Bertha, did you ever go back and visit Finland?
No, I didn't, but 2 of my sisters did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they see that aunt? Did they visit that aunt that had the cataracts? That wasn't allowed to come?
No.
No.
My sister Annie went there, and she's one of my older sisters, and she was always really a plain Jane.
Okay.
And so she had written to these cousins in Finland that she was coming there with her husband, and they went there for church, on a church trip.
Oh.
So she looked them up, and so this cousin thought, well, my goodness, company from America, that she has to get herself a little spiffed up, and got herself a permanent and everything.
Oh.
My sister Annie walks in the door, and she's wearing a pug in the back of her head.
Is a pug like a bun?
A bun, yeah.
A bun? Okay. So your cousin said I didn't need to go to all that fuss.
And then my sister Ruth, the one that's a year younger than me, well, she went to Germany because her son was stationed there.
Oh.
So then when her son had a little time off, well, then he took her to Finland.
He did?
Yeah.
Neat.
And she said that she sat on the steps of the house that my mother lived in.
Really? In what town in Finland?
Oh, let's see.
I'm asking all the hard questions.
Yeah. I get mixed up with those. I think it was Kauhajärvi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you still speak Finnish? That's a pretty good accent.
Well, you hear my accent even in my English. Well, I can speak it, but sometimes I sit down and I think of some words and I can't remember what they are in Finnish. But
How would you say have a nice day in Finnish? Or anything. You say anything. We won't know the difference.
No, olkaa hyvin. So that would be one way, and that would be, I hope you have a good time.
Oh, nice. One other thing I'm thinking of in Finnish culture, did you grow up doing a sauna?
Oh, yes.
Was that the primary way that you would bathe?
That was it.
That was it. So you're in this farmhouse, and was it like outside?
Yeah, it was an outside building.
Okay. And then when you and your husband got married, did you have a sauna together?
I have 2 saunas.
2 saunas.
Oh, there was one outside that my sister and her husband had. And then when my second marriage, well, Wayne built us a sauna attached to the house. Yeah.
Nice. So you were married 2 times?
Yes.
Were either of your husbands Finnish?
No.
No.
Harold was a full Swede.
Okay.
And then my second husband, it was a German heritage.
Okay. How did Harold pass away?
Cancer.
How old was he?
77.
And then how long were you married to your second husband?
9.5 years. And he died of cryptococcal meningitis.
Wow.
That's another disease that comes from soil.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Had he worked in the woods? Was he?
No, but he was the type of guy that he dug into everything.
Just worked outside, like part of his life, part of...
Well, I don't know. He was brought up on a farm too, so... He was from Decatur, Illinois.
Oh. And he came up to the UP?
No, he was came to Detroit first. And he worked there for a trucking company. He was the manager of the repair shop. And so he was there for many years. And then he married my husband's sister.
No kidding. So you knew him all these years?
Yeah, I knew him for a long time. And she passed away from cancer. And then he had one brother living in Detroit, and he passed away, so he didn't know what to do with himself. So then he came up to visit because Harold's older sister, was still living, and so he'd come up every once in a while, and so then after his brother died, well, he said, "I've thought of coming to the UP to live." And I said, "Well, where would you live?" I was thinking that what
town?
Or where would he settle down? And he said, "With you."
So that was his proposal.
So I told him, I said, "Well, that's not going to fly." I said, my family would disown me and my church would disown me if I did that. So we got married.
Oh. And you were good companions.
Oh, he was good. He was good to my kids, and he was a good husband.
Bertha, if you, I know we've been talking so long, I don't want to take up too much of your time. If you had to give your grandkids or your great-grandkids a little bit of advice or something that you've learned, what would you tell them?
Well, let's see. I would say that they would have to think that there is a God, and to go to church. That would be my first. I'm very, very strong on that. And to try and get along with everybody you meet.
Those are wonderful mantras to live by.
Because I don't remember of my mother ever getting angry at anybody.
Wow. That's amazing.
She was such a calm person. And you know, my grandmother, my father's mother, who lived to be 105.
Wow.
She named every one of my mother's children.
Really? Tell me, so it's Bertha and Elaine. And what are some of the other names?
Well, Elaine was baptized Lempe Elaine.
Oh.
So she went by the name of Elaine. And then Lois was baptized Irene Lois. And my youngest sister was Sima Lorraine. And so she took the name of Lorraine. And one of my older sisters said, I'm never going to call her Sima.
Well, good thing you had a second name to choose, right?
I didn't like that either.
No. Bertha, is your full name, is there something before Bertha?
No.
No.
I'm Bertha Evelyn. But for some reason, I didn't like that name either.
Do you like your name? Do you like your name, Bertha?
No.
You don't?
I never have.
But you stuck with it all these years.
Yeah, I've stuck with it. So then when I finally had a daughter, the closest I could get to my name was to drop the R in the A, so she's Beth.
Oh, she's kind of named after you.
Yeah, that's the closest I could get without embarrassing her.
I gave my kids really weird middle names and normal first names, so only a few people would ever know the full truth.
Yeah.
Well, Bertha, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your wisdom and giving us all these gleans of what your life has been like. Anything else you want to mention before we're done? Oh.
Because some Finnish accents are really, I don't know, they're heavy Finnish accents. He said, why would you want to do that? He said, I like your accent.
So you spoke Finnish at home with your mom and dad?
Yes.
Thus the accent.
And, we had to learn Finnish first because my mother couldn't speak English. So that's one reason that, it stays with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have people say I have a Yooper accent, but I wouldn't have even noticed that your accent was Finnish. I don't know. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have thought that. But
thank you.
Thank Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with a Chiropractor. Your support and engagement are what make this podcast a success. Each episode brings you enriching conversations with interesting people and dives into the many facets of chiropractic health and wellness. If your company is interested in partnering with Conversations with a Chiropractor to reach a dedicated audience, please contact us at conversationswithachiropractor@gmail.com for sponsorship and endorsement opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe to Conversations with a Chiropractor on platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And if you enjoy our content, please consider rating us. It helps the show grow and continue providing great content. Stay connected by following our Facebook page at facebook.com/Wautier Wellness and visit our website, wautierwellness.com, for more information. Conversations with a Chiropractor looks forward to bringing you more engaging and enlightening episodes. Until next time, stay healthy and stay aligned. Credits: podcast production by Plas Vocal. Interested in starting your own podcast? Learn more and reach out at www.voiceover.work.